Welcome to the Print's Political Adda. Today we will be discussing a rather hot political issue, the Maharashtra-Karnataka border row, which actually dates back to the 1950s when when states were organized on linguistic grounds, and since then Maharashtra has claimed state claimed on 814 villages. And Belagavi or Belgaon, as people in Maharashtra like to call it, saying that these are predominantly Marathi speaking and they should be a part of Maharashtra, and this issue has just dragged on with the the conflict has just dragged on, sometimes dormantly, sometimes actively, but the issue was reignited last month once again when Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde made certain decisions for the border areas, and Karnataka Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai made certain statements that irked politicians in Maharashtra, and it has been a political hot potato ever since. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has tried to intervene by having a meeting of both the chief ministers while there have been violent clashes at the border, but the issue has not died down. Currently, Assembly's winter legislative sessions are underway in both states, in Maharashtra and Karnataka, and this issue has been dominating the political discourse in both these states almost every day. I'm Manasi Phadke, Deputy Editor with The Print. Joining me in today's discussion are my political editor DK Singh, Madhav Bhandari, who is the BJP Vice President and Maharashtra spokesperson, and Sharan, who is our the correspondent from Karnataka. And mainly what we would be discussing today is that there's a very peculiar situation where two state governments, where the BJP is the ruling party, are fighting over this issue against each other. And there is a BJP government at the center, all of which also gives the opposition a lot of ammunition. So is the BJP in a slightly tricky situation trying to balance this, the whole conflict and so this is what we would be focusing on today. Let's start with what's happening. Sharan, you are currently in Belagavi. What is going on in the Karnataka Assembly?
Well, the session is, underway, and today the chief minister is likely to pass a resolution. It's an all-party resolution that they won't cede an inch of land to Maharashtra. Now, this is a stand that Karnataka has taken many times in the last many years. Each time there's a claim on, these borders, or this issue comes back in various intensities. One of the quick reactions they do is pass a resolution. And since the winter session is in Belagavi, which is one of the contested areas, one of the disputed areas rather, they attach a lot of significance to it. Now, Karnataka cannot be seen compromising on the three main issues, very emotional issues called Nela Jala Bhashe, which means water, land, and language. So in all three fronts, they want to make a very politically significant statement. And remember that we're just months away from an election in Karnataka. So the BJP now has to manage expectations on all sides of its own party, where they've asked them not to go too aggressive on the issue, and also that of the people and the opposition who've been pushing the Bommai government to take a very firm stand on the issue. We've seen some protests. We've seen very claims that have been going on for several years come back during the winter session, and the recent statements by Maharashtra and the reactionary statements by Karnataka and vice versa have only fueled the intensity of what's going on right now. So once the resolution is passed, we'll have to see if it has any impact on, on whether it'll put this issue to rest or only flare up tensions in this region.
And this is also dominating the session on every single day in Maharashtra as well. The Maharashtra winter session is underway in Nagpur. The opposition has been raising this issue in some way or the other, telling the Shinde government that they are not being firm enough with Karnataka on this issue, whereas the Shinde government has been trying to play a balancing act, saying pretty much the same thing, that we will not cede an inch of land, and we will ensure that we will put up a strong fight for the territories that Maharashtra has been claiming. So in this whole thing, we have one interesting question from Priyank Upadhyay. Why can't BJP manage this internally without all of this media coverage and the drama surrounding it? And isn't this coming out as embarrassing for a disciplined party like BJP? I would like to ask Mr. Madhav Bhandari to talk a little bit about this, and DK, you could also tell us a little bit on why is the BJP not being able to sort something like this internally?
See, Manasi, let me clear one thing. First of all, I am not spokesperson Maharashtra BJP. I am media in charge of Maharashtra BJP. Secondly, this is not an internal issue of BJP. So it is not a party management issue. It is a political issue of the two states, and it has been a legacy of Nehruvian Congress politics for last 50, 60 years. It is not arose suddenly in these five, 6 years. It is not a fact. It is an decades old issue. And when Congress was in power for 40 years in center, state, and both the states, and it was very powerful. In those 40 years also, Congress never solved the issue. They kept the issue lingering. And that's why the issue has been become a bit chronic, and it has to be solved very delicately. And now the issue is under the purview of Supreme Court. We are waiting for the Supreme Court judgment. So this is the situation.
Vanessa, the question was that you have the BJP in power everywhere in all the in two states, also in the center. Why aren't you able to bring all sides together and sort it out?
That's what I said. We had brought all the both sides together. Our Home Minister has arranged the meeting, and the meeting was there. What I said that in last 40, 50 years, when Congress was absolutely in power, Congress never solved this issue. Why didn't they solve? I don't know. Or they were not able to solve this, I don't know. But that is the legacy. They had left the legacy for the next generation. And now, for last, say, about 15, 16 years, the issue is pending before the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is deliberating it, and we are awaiting for Supreme Court decision. That's the situation.
So, Manasi, my take on this would be that the fiscal dispensation in power in both states right now is very insecure. And you have two chief ministers who are both very insecure. You have Basavaraj Bommai in Karnataka, who is not very sure whether he is going to last the entire time. Of course, like next 6 months, not much is going to happen. But whether he is going to come back as the chief minister if the party wins, he is not sure. Even here, this entire new alliance that has come to shape, Balasaheb Vajji, Shiv Sena and BJP. Shinde, I don't know how sure he is, how long he will continue. Then you have BMC elections coming. Shinde has to secure his own Sena, in fact. Right? Because BMC, this fight is on with Uddhav. That's how this entire thing has got tangled totally. It's very messy because every stakeholder has some issues.
Right.
There are many political constraints with the stakeholders.
DK Singh, one thing let me tell you. In our nation, it is not a single issue in the state border issue. There are some 14, 16 disputes in several states which are regarding with the boundaries. There are issues in Northeast, there are issues in South. Even Karnataka has issues with Tamil Nadu and Kerala.
Exactly.
So it is not a single issue.
So, Bhandari, coming to that, again, coming to the role of the center, we saw 5 cops getting killed in Mizoram when Assam police and Mizoram police clashed. Then we had this entire Meghalaya Assam clash. You have issues in Northeast. Why is the center not able to intervene? Even there in the Northeast also, in all those states, you are either directly in power or you are basically part of data.
The center is properly intervening. Center is playing a very proper role in all those issues. And I am very much sure that our leadership will solve these issues, because only our leadership has solved the Kaveri issue, which was very contentious. We are forgotten it. But Kaveri issue never solved by Congress. But when we were in power, Atalji was the Prime Minister. We solved the Kaveri issue, and now we have absolutely forgotten the Kaveri. Because the issue has been solved.
Bhandari, nobody is saying you have failed, because it's a very complicated issue and nobody is expecting the center to sort it out just in days. It takes time. We are just talking about even before it went to Amit Shah, for weeks it was festering, and we did not really see the center showing the kind of proactiveness it should have.
And also after it went to
I
Amit
don't
Shah,
know. I don't know what how you people or the media people define the proactiveness, and everything is very much unclear to common man like me.
but also after the issue went to Union Minister Amit Shah, and what the BJP says is, I mean, it is a fact that it is the first time there has been really active intervention from the center in some ways, as in he's called for a meeting of both chief ministers, which is fine. But he also asked both sides to exercise restraint, and both sides at that particular meeting said that they would do so. And yet you have, charged statements coming from both camps once again. So why is it that even after the center tries to intervene and ensure that the situation sort of is brought under control, you still have these conflicts
Manasi,
and
can you
clashes
tell me
coming
that
up?
media will allow us to sit quietly and do our job quietly? Are you sure about it?
Well, we would want to know what you're doing.
Definitely, because media wants to instigate the matters.
Okay, that's a bit unfair, pinning everything on the media. But I think let's move on
So,
to
but
the next question.
that's the thing. When the finger pointed towards media, that is unfair. But when you are
No, but I said, let me defend my own fraternity.
yeah, yeah.
How did it start? It was Mr. Eknath Shinde who started, who announced that, the schemes meant for freedom fighters would go for or would be available to so-called martyrs of
Even in the disputed border areas.
dispute.
And DK, funnily in Maharashtra, everybody says this conflict was reignited not by Shinde but by Basavaraj Bommai by making certain statements. So each side is just pointing to the
But
other, saying,
point
you
is,
started it, you started it.
if I recall,
It's not natural.
it was the Shinde government which announced incentives.
No, it
Yes.
is not
After that,
it
the
is
Bombay
not a
government
new
reacted.
thing. Then let me clarify. Shindeji has not declared anything new. This decision has been taken by earlier state government, Maharashtra state government, and we are implementing it. That's all.
Manasi did a story a few days back. It was in June itself that another scheme was launched. Manasi, can you talk about it?
Yeah, basically,
Shinde has been.
this is about basically extending aid to organizations working in the border areas towards preserving Marathi language, its literature, not just preserving, but also promoting, giving awards to people working for Marathi language in the border disputed areas. I mean, it is, of course, from a state government's point of view, it is something that, nobody is going to say you shouldn't do it. And preserving and promoting a language in any geography of the state, you are
But
probably
Manasi, Maharashtra government for last several decades promoting these schemes all over the world for
yes,
the
of course, in
promotion
some
of
way or the
Maharashtra.
other.
So
Exactly.
it is that area is not alien to earth.
That's exactly what I was saying, that there is no problem in announcing a scheme like that, but it is just the timing of it, when
No. Also, very interestingly, I think Mr. Eknath Shinde, as we've spoken to some historians here, in the year 1986, was one of the foot soldiers who actually were part of the agitations on ground in Belgavi. So
And
we
he
can
had
see
been
how.
lathi charged.
yeah, he had been lathi charged and he spent
Yes,
40 days in
exactly.
prison in
And also, he was
Bellary.
the in-charge minister of this particular dispute in the previous MVA government as well.
Right.
So we can
He
see
has
how
every right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. And actually, there is a question related to that has come from one of our viewers that, do you think this controversy would lead to any negative impact on the relationship between Shinde-led Shiv Sena, which is Balasaheb Sena, and the BJP? And would this have any impact on BMC elections? Since they both have to fight together against the Shiv Sena Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray faction, Congress and NCP. So I'll first try to make sense of it before bouncing the question to Mr. Madhav Bhandari and DK sir. So exactly, as I mean, for Eknath Shinde, he's been personally vested in this issue, and to begin with, this has been one of the mainstay issues of the Shiv Sena right since the beginning. And Balsaheb Thackeray, the first time that he went to prison was because of clashes related to the border row. So for Eknath Shinde to very strongly take up this issue is also a way for him to again claim his legacy, which is what he's been all this while saying and trying to do. So, but at the same time, he also knows that the orchestration of the rebellion, being able to form his own party, with the symbol issue, etc., and being able to come to power, all of that has also been with blessings and support of the BJP. So he can't even afford to rock the boat too much. So far, we haven't seen a lot of friction between the BJP and the Eknath Shinde-led Shiv Sena over this issue, because both of them are talking in the same tone. Even Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has very firmly said that we will see this issue through and we will not cede any part of our land, and so on and so forth. But having said that, if at all it becomes if the matters get out of hand, and if under pressure from the opposition, especially Shiv Sena Uddhav Balsaheb Thackeray, the Shinde faction may be forced to up the ante, and you can see some of that aggression already. Yesterday, Shambhuraj Desai made a statement to the media saying we usually share water with Karnataka during the summers when they make a request every year, but with all these comments coming in from the neighboring state this time, we'll have to think about it. I mean, it's a veiled threat in some ways. So yes, that's where it stands. Madhav sir, would you like to add to this?
No, I don't see any problem in our relationship, because earlier when the entire Shiv Sena was with us and Honorable Balsaheb Thackeray was leading our alliance, that time also these issues has been tried to rake up, but it has not made any impact on our alliance. This time also there will not be any impact on our alliance, because we are on the same side, we are on the same page, and so there is no problem in alliance.
Just to add to Mr. Bhandari, I think this is also an issue that, though the means and the speed at which it can be achieved is different, there is not going to be too much opposition on the issue itself. So, I mean, everyone can take a stand, and they know that there's not going to be a political party in either state that's actually going to oppose, Maharashtra and vice versa, the sort of claims that are making. So in a way, it is also a safe issue that Mr. Shinde and Mr. Bommai can sort of, uncompromisingly take a stand on and get the backing of the other parties, because it's only the way in which they achieve this is what matters, and the statements around this, I don't think does a lot of damage to their individual political life.
And secondly, Manasi, you were referring to BMC elections, Mumbai Municipal Corporation.
That was a part of the question, yes.
But Mumbai municipal corporations are very much important, and they will be fought on the local issues. Mumbai have a very much bag of issues, developmental issues, infrastructural issues, and last 25 years of the misrule of Shiv Sena. What Mumbai is suffering, that is the real issue, and that will be the issue of Mumbai election.
Also, another question related to that. Everybody has been saying that for the Karnataka government, it's very important to raise the decibel level on this issue, because elections are right around the corner, and the opposition is saying because you are on a sticky wicket, that's the reason you need some hype to kind of help you tide over. But the main question being, will a decades-old border issue, does it still resonate with voters? Do people vote on something like that?
No, Manasi, let me tell you frankly, I am not very much aware about the politics of Karnataka. I am not accustomed to Karnataka.
But even in Maharashtra, do you think it strikes a chord with voters at all? I mean, something happening with regards to a few villages on the border for years together.
And Manasi, we can judge by the history for the last 10, 15, 20 years, what has been happened in all these areas. And that is going to happen. I don't see any different thing will happen immediately.
Sharan, from Belgaum, can you tell us whether this issue is going to basically have an impact on the elections?
So Belgaum, there are very few political parties or organizations that actually use this issue in elections. One of them, of course, is the Maharashtra Ekikaran Samiti, as well as the Shiv Sena unit here. Both of them, we've seen that, like the Maharashtra MES, as they know, they back independent candidates and not stand on their own. So from the 1970s, they used to have every candidate they backed used to win. And now they have 0 seats in the assembly. They have less than 2 seats in the Belgavi City Corporation, because a lot of their MLAs over time have either shifted to the Congress or the BJP, and hence softened their stand on the issue, though they still have their Marathi pride and they still fight over this issue. Not that they've let it go completely, but they don't take the stand or the border issue as their only agenda. So it has a lot of emotional connect and has the ability to bring in masses together, except that its political capital in Karnataka, especially around these areas, has diminished over the last few elections at least.
No, my take is, as far as the two national parties are concerned, they won't really raise their stakes much because they are in both states. Problem comes when it comes to smaller outfits,
Right,
which have their reach within the state. Say you have Uddhav Thackeray. Now he said, I am going to Belgaum. JDS will start it sooner or later because they don't have stakes in the other state. So what they do and how they are tackled will actually determine whether it snowballs by the time you have elections or it dies down.
and we have a related question.
So in
to that.
Karnataka, the third party actually is the JDS, who have barely any significant, any relevance in these parts. They're more a South Karnataka party. So over here, I mean, in Karnataka, you have basically 3 parties, BJP, Congress, and the JDS. The JDS barely has a presence here. So it is the BJP and the Congress who are still leading charges here. And of course, the independents who are backed by MES or NCP or Shiv Sena and the others who continue to keep the issue alive. But yes, like I said earlier, if you look at election data, yes, their political capital has diminished. Which is not to say that the issue does not resonate, but it may not have very good electoral dividends, considering that now it's become an argument of development over, you want to hold on to the language and linguistic politics. There's also arguments that, on the other side of the border where there are Kannadiga speaking villages who want to come towards Karnataka. So then it becomes an argument over they want to come to Karnataka because apparently it's a development argument. There's more development in Karnataka and they will come this side. Whereas in the Marathis who want to go to the Maharashtra side claim more on it as the linguistic basis, their cultural roots and other issues, and not development wholly.
Sharan, just tell me something more. You are on ground zero. Now you have been watching the proceedings of the assembly there.
Correct.
How is the Congress's attitude? Because it will determine how the electoral discourse goes. Can the Congress push it in Karnataka and risk its political capital in Maharashtra? What is the Congress doing right now? Is it balancing or is it trying to provoke?
No. The Congress is also kind of in a sticky wicket because all of their leaders from this region depend on Marathi votes in their constituencies. So they cannot be seen taking a proactive issue, taking a backstand. So they've remained completely neutral. In fact, very funnily, I tried to speak to a few MLAs today and they refused to talk on the issue, not knowing how it will impact, because these are areas where you have at least easily about half their population are Marathas and Marathis. So they cannot be seen making a statement or taking a stand that goes against the Kannadigas nor the Marathis. So they're taking a very balanced approach in the entire process.
So for the Bombay government, Eknath Shinde is the main problem.
Yes. Yes, no, so far the Congress has not given them any trouble, so as to speak. It is more that, he will have the backing of the Congress, or at least not the opposition of the Congress, when he takes on Eknath Shinde, as opposed to taking on the issue against the others as well. So he just has one person he can target very easily.
Basically, there is one clear instruction from the center, folks, pipe down. No more statements. You see the things cooling down completely on the ground.
I don't think so, because as Manasi said, as soon as Mr. Shah's meeting happened, and post that they've now decided to take a resolution. Now I don't see that as sort of pipe down. It may lead to flaring up. I'm sure this will. Yesterday we saw some very sharp reactions from ministers in the winter session in Maharashtra, as well as Mr. Sanjay Raut, and in Karnataka as well, reacting to the same. So I don't know if it will pipe down. If at all, it may only increase in significance, obviously because there is elections in Karnataka and no one can be seen taking a stand or softening this stand rather.
So if the Shiv Sena, Bala Sahebanji Shiv Sena, or the governments from the, I mean, both governments, if there are no statements from the governments, probably the, Shiv Sena is speaking in Maharashtra is fine, but if Congress is not speaking in Karnataka, it should not go out of your hand. The
No,
narrative will still be controlled.
so this is one of the things that the MES can use to its advantage. Now, the MES believes that if, the Kannadiga votes are split between BJP and the Congress, they have a very good chance to actually attract votes towards the MES. So they have every incentive to take this issue further, that citing very clearly that no one is speaking about the issue, and hence we'll continue to champion the cause. Anyways, they're the face of it, and they have every incentive to do this.
But how strong is the MES? How has its journey been over the past few decades?
Everyone, if you travel around Belgaum, you will see Marathi villages, you will see Kannada villages. There are people who are bilingual. But yes, when it comes to issue of language, yes, there is a strong, separation between villages also. But it is not very firm because these people have to live with each other, and many of them realistically believe that they want this issue to happen, but they don't see a point in flaring it up with their neighbors, because they have to live in the same villages. So in that sense, MES gains intensity around like the winter session or when these issues come up.
Right.
But then for the rest of the year, they do not have very much a big voice or a big presence. Around elections, of course, they will make a lot of hue and cry about it. And it also depends on how the Karnataka government handles these issues. Like, for instance, on the 19th, when the assembly session kicked off, the Karnataka government, took all MES activists into preventive custody. So that sort of, flared up the issue even more. It's also how the Karnataka government, their view on this also is, and how they react to it. If they take too strong an action, then you will see more, sympathizers falling behind the MES. But if you just let the issue be and let them have their time for some, around the session, then it normally tends to die down, without too much incident or activity. Yes.
And also, what about the younger generation of these disputed border areas, which have, which are said to be predominantly Maharashtrian? The younger generation has grown up knowing that, we are growing up in Karnataka. They're going to schools where Kannada is a mandatory language. They're probably taking up jobs in Mysore and Bangalore. So, does this issue strike a chord with the younger generation at all?
It does, mainly because here, we spoke to a few school teachers in Marathi schools. Karnataka government sponsored Marathi schools in Karnataka, in Belgaum. So there they say that they learn Marathi, so they have a disadvantage. Basically they have to cross the border to be part of competitive exams in Maharashtra, whereas the Sangli side and people there, the Kannada speaking population over there, find more opportunities here. So in that sense, yes, they are worried that they may not get the economic development or the educational opportunities that they believe either side is better. Now, very interestingly, now the Maratha population, which is significant, maybe they form about 5 to 6% of Karnataka's electorate, they have been demanding for 2A reservation, better reservation opportunities. Now, the Marathas have, very strongly backed the BJP over the years. They've also stood with the Congress, but in recent years, we've seen them, fight behind the BJP. So now they're demanding that you give us these opportunities that will actually, keep more Marathis from, believing in the separation, going away from Karnataka argument and looking to more get assimilated with the Karnataka ecosystem, where they will have better reservation opportunities. So that debate also is sort of adding to this entire complex issue.
All right. We have another question from Sankalp for DK sir and Madhav sir. In Karnataka, the region, religion and caste identities are stronger. He says in Maharashtra, native Asmita has not really attracted much attention beyond Mumbai. And all in all, it appears to be a clown circus, as the case will only really be settled at the Supreme Court. So for a party that is always calculating and deeply sensitive to embarrassment, BJP for the first time since 2014 appears to be caught in a blind. Is the BJP national leadership getting too distracted given its multiple commitments? This is a question from Sankalp, who is one of our viewers.
I will assure Mr. Sankalp that our leadership has not been distracted. They are very much focused, and they know what they are doing and what should be done. They know very well. And secondly, just as I said earlier, that the issue is pending before the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has to give the judgment. Supreme Court has to solve the issue. And our leader, Devendraji Fadnavis, our deputy CM, he has also again and again said that the matter is in court and court verdict will be the answer. So we don't have any problem. We are not caught in the blind, and we are very much concentrated on the issue.
Sharan, I took up this issue when I started.
Yeah.
Political constants I'm talking about.
Yes.
On each side, there is not much the BJP can do here except reining in its own ministers in both Maharashtra and Karnataka. As for the Shinde faction, the Balasaheb Anji Shiv Sena, their ministers will speak because it's again the fight for Balasaheb's legacy. And Manasi can probably tell you how Balasaheb started it all. So it was in 60s only when Shiv Sena was born. This was one of the major issues that the Shiv Sena raised. And that's when she's talking about Balasaheb's arrest. So you do not want to be at a time when you are basically having this bitter feud with Uddhav Thackeray Sena for control of the party or for Balasaheb's legacy. You do not want to be seen as being weak or being evasive on this. That's why they are very aggressive. So BJP beyond a point cannot really do much.
Right. Another question, I think, Sharan, you will be in a good position to answer it, and DK, so you can also chime in. Why did the BJP strategy of changing chief minister and cabinet in Karnataka not seeming to pay dividend and instead is creating a negative impact on the party's image at the state? Is BJP again doing the same mistake of depending on Prime Minister Modi's face and not strengthening its party structure in Karnataka?
Well, I mean, Karnataka politics, like, most other states, has its own distinct personality. And in Karnataka, you have leaders like B.S. Yediyurappa, who was asked to step down, and then Bommai put in place because Bommai was an accepted face by Yediyurappa as well as the national leadership. But the plan hasn't gone according to, how they had completely pictured it. Yes, it has had a negative impact because Bommai has inherited all the problems of the Yediyurappa regime. That includes infighting that has only intensified because Bommai he was not considered an insider. He's just 14 years old in the party, and they had to overlook several others to keep Bommai there. So yes, it has had the negative impact is since he's going from crisis to crisis, there hasn't been much development per se to see. And then, of course, there are mounting allegations of corruption. And Karnataka's politics is also very volatile. Since the 1970s, we have never seen the same party come back to power. Even though we saw the first party, in fact, in Karnataka, very few chief ministers have completed their full term. The last being Siddaramaiah in 2013 to 18. But after that, even his government collapsed. So considering this very volatile situation, you needed the BJP to really step up in order for it to continue its juggernaut even into Karnataka. But since there has been no notable development, no notable schemes under Bommai especially, and more allegations of corruption and other things that have made more headlines, it's very difficult for them. And it does look like they haven't got this part in Karnataka right. And now they'll probably have to scramble a lot. And again, depend on Modi for a few seats, then of course fall back on Yediyurappa and Lingayat and caste-based politics in order to secure more victories. You also have to know that in Karnataka, southern Karnataka is where the BJP barely has any presence. That's where the JDS is strong. Northeastern Karnataka is where the Congress is strong. So the BJP requires seats from everywhere. So it'll either have to organically or inorganically grow and get leaders from all areas if it wants to come back to power. But at this particular point in time, it seems like a very far shot, considering how volatile Karnataka's politics is.
Yeah, once let's take another question. Okay, I can add just this much, that they have mishandled this entire Yediyurappa thing very badly. Of course, BJP is going for a change of leadership, a generational change in every state. It's not specific to Karnataka. But the way they should have treated Yediyurappa and persuaded him to leave power without any bitterness, that didn't really happen. He was virtually forced out. First, he helps you destabilize or dislodge the JDS Congress government. And then right from day one, there is no, cooperation, coordination with the center. Yediyurappa kept cribbing. There were floods. There was no help from the center. There's for days, in fact, if Sharan, you may remember, for weeks, he did not even get his entire cabinet. And then he was almost pushed out. And now the central leadership had realized. Probably for that, you may have to give a bit of blame to BL Santosh also, National General Secretary Organization, because he had a running feud with Yediyurappa when he was in Karnataka. Then he became National General Secretary Organization. Naturally, PM Modi and Amit Shah gave him the entire say in Karnataka affairs. Until they realized that the way they were trying to push Yediyurappa out wasn't going to pay them the dividends, and it could backfire. Now they are trying to get Yediyurappa back. They've inducted him into the BJP parliamentary board, and there also, when Nadda went there last week to address a rally, BJP ensured that Yediyurappa goes there. Now they are trying, but until very recently, they have mishandled the entire thing.
Also that, Yediyurappa, he's had over nearly 40 years in politics, active politics. He's a very good coalition builder, much like Deve Gowda and Siddaramaiah. So that equation is something that the others after him do not share. There is no second rung of leadership really within the BJP because Yediyurappa sort of consolidated power. And now after he's pushed out, there is barely anyone who can take his place, especially of the Lingayat community who still believe Yediyurappa is their leader. Bommai is from the same community, but does not enjoy the same level of mass support at all. And this delayed response by the center was seen as Yediyurappa being victimized as opposed to Bommai being empowered.
Just imagine the high command refusing to give even an MLC seat to Yediyurappa's
son. Yes.
MLC seat. You don't treat one of the most veteran leaders, somebody who has built your party in Karnataka, like this.
True.
Coming back to the border, sorry, you want to say something?
No. I was just saying that yes, Yediyurappa has always been about placating his family and his children, and I think if the BJP had handled that slightly better, perhaps they wouldn't. I mean, they wouldn't have Yediyurappa under who's really upset with the way the things go. And now you've sort of pushed him as to either he doesn't actively participate in securing BJP another victory, which is very essential in Karnataka, or you will have to fall back on him in order to stitch local alliances if the BJP still wants to keep power. So yes, it was a very it was not the smoothest transition of power, and nor was there was good damage control post the incident. Yes.
But yeah, coming back to the border row, we have one last question, which is more of a suggestion, but also seems a little improbable. The question is basically, why don't they just create a new state of the disputed areas? Is that a likely solution at all, or the politics of creating a new state?
Actually, in Karnataka itself, there has been, there have been enough from the BJP itself. The Minister Umesh Katti, who died recently, he was one of those people who kept demanding that, carve out a different state in North Karnataka. But it was mostly on development, because in Karnataka, if you've been to the southern districts and the northern districts is home to some of the most backward regions in all of India. And southern is the more prosperous districts. So this claim doesn't necessarily have to come up from outside of Karnataka. It has come from within Karnataka as well. But yeah, it's complicated. But yes, these demands have been made by the BJP themselves.
In Maharashtra, creating a new state is, it's mainly related to, there are demands about Vidarbha and to a certain extent Marathwada, but this demand of creating a new state to solve the border dispute between Maharashtra and Karnataka has never come up.
Manasi, there is always there are demands for separate states, and there, as I remember, almost in every state there is a demand for some separate state.
Right, absolutely.
So, and reorganization of the states is an issue which was considered at the central government's level a few times, but it has been kept aside. That is the fact today.
Thing is, Manasi, states have been reorganized on linguistic basis, but that's done and dusted. Let's not be talking about further divisions on linguistic basis. For linguistic divisions. Yes, for administrative convenience, if you do that, For instance, UP needs to be divided
Correct.
for administrative, convenience and for better progress in a state, because if it's so big, it becomes very unwieldy. What is happening today? So if
DK Singh, let me intervene between. Linguistic base of the creation of some state was not a very practical thought. In fact, we should have gone for administrative divisions, and that would have been much better for India's development.
To begin with.
To begin with,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
The
And
creation of states on linguistic base that has created many problems in every nook and corner of the nation.
so, what I'm driving at Bhandari Savage, let's not talk about this anymore.
Correct.
yeah, somewhere there needs to be a full stop to this argument.
So if we want something, we have to talk about the administrative division.
Exactly.
Right. All right, then one doesn't know how the recent flare-up over the Maharashtra-Karnataka border row is going to end, but this discussion will definitely end here. Thank you so much for your questions and all your insightful answers, Mr. Bhandari, DK sir, and Sharan. Thanks a lot to our viewers for watching.
Thank you.
All right. Bhandari sir, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, DK Singh.
I hope your wife is doing better now.
Mine?
Yeah, she was in and out of treatment yesterday, right?
Yeah. She is today only she has came home. And,
Okay.
yes. He is facing.
Well, thanks a lot for joining us, despite all of that, what is going on, at your end on the personal front. It really means a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.